Chapter 1321, can be used, but unreliable. Chapter 1321, can be used, but unreliable. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The Moon Festival passed, but Fang Yuan was still moving about outside. He took the initiative to get close to Xiao Si Lu, although the latter was angry at his attitude during the Moon Festival. Due to her clan's orders, she was unable to refuse Fang Yuan. Gradually, rumors began to spread. Wu clan's Wu Yihai and Xiao clan's Xiao Si Lu were very close and often made trips to scenic spots. Whether it be Wu Yihai, Wu Yong's brother, or Xiao Si Lu, one of the three great fairies of Southern Border, they were no doubt famous people in Southern Border's Gu immortal world. Their actions soon led to rumors. While Xiao Si Lu's pursuers were indignant, they had to admit Wu Yihai was an extremely strong rival. Regardless of everything else, just based on Wu clan's and Xiao clan's relations, Wu Yihai had an enormous advantage. Fang Yuan was slightly helpless regarding this. He actually did not want to become famous, it was better to keep Wu Yihai's identity low profile. A pity that the circumstances went against his wishes. Because of Xiao Si Lu, Fang Yuan's fame soared in Southern Border's Gu immortal world. This situation soon influenced Fang Yuan. The number of times someone tried to deduce him, which had just showed signs of decreasing, rose rapidly and even became frequent. It was very difficult to deal with this situation with just Dark Limit immortal Gu. Fang Yuan had to often place his aperture down and hide inside his sovereign blessed land. The immortal aperture was an independent world, isolated from the outside. As long as Fang Yuan did not reveal crucial clues, deductions would become extremely difficult. Unless someone had clues like those from Connect Luck, or had information that could deduce his specific location. Fortunately, Fang Yuan himself could make use of frequently placing down his aperture in absorbing heaven and earth qi. With the addition of reverse flow river, the consumption of heaven and earth qi was truly huge. Besides placing his aperture, Fang Yuan had to handle Xiao Si Lu while also using Wu clan's channels to get information about Luo Mu Zi and Luan Fei. It was still not the time for him to make a move. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Gu immortals had endless mysterious methods. With just slight carelessness, one could fail miserably in carrying out a task. For example, Fang Yuan had actually been able to resist the offense of rank 8 Gu immortals with reverse flow river. Before the battle in Snowy Mountain, who could have imagined such a result? Fang Yuan was cautious. Even if he had a plan to take Luo Mu Zi's and Luan Fei's lives, he would only start on the plan after sufficiently understanding their details. Afterwards, he would accumulate strength, so that when there was an opportunity, he would immediately deal the fatal strike. Only then would the risks be the lowest, and it would best suit his interests. Lions used all their strength even when hunting rabbits, let alone Luan Fei and Luo Mu Zi, whom were not weak themselves. Half a month passed like this. On this day, Wu Yong summoned Fang Yuan. "Brother, I have few tasks here, choose one of them," Wu Yong said without beating around the bush. "Brother, please tell me, it is my duty to contribute to the clan," Fang Yuan calmly replied. An information path mortal Gu flew out of Wu Yong's sleeve. Fang Yuan took a glance and saw this Gu had 3 tasks recorded. The first task was related to Xianming Mountain. Recently, someone discovered that in the depths of Xianming Mountain, there seemed to be the aura of a wild immortal Gu. This information had already attracted many lone immortals to make a trip. More importantly, Yang Clan, a super force, had also mobilized its members. If the information was true, they could obtain an immortal Gu, which, to any super force, was a joyous matter of being able to increase their foundation. Wu clan naturally would not let go of such a good chance. Currently, Wu clan's situation was normal, neither good nor bad. Under Wu Yong's command, the clan had already stabilized itself. Moreover, Xianming Mountain was near Wu clan's territory, although not inside Wu clan's territory, it bordered on it. If Wu clan did not send its Gu immortals for this, other super forces would probably think Wu clan had weakened. As such, Wu Yong intentionally included, if they could not seize the wild immortal Gu, they must destroy it and could not let it go to Yang clan. The second task was that Red Dragon River's water level was rising sharply recently. If it was not controlled, it was very likely to lead to a flood disaster. If there was a flood, it would be of extreme threat to the nearby living beings. Resources would deplete and it could even change the surrounding environment. The super forces near Red Dragon River were paying heavy attention to it. A portion of Red Dragon River flowed past the territories of Qiao Clan and Wu Clan. They had to send Gu immortals to inspect the situation and attempt to control the situation to prevent a huge flood. As for the third task, Yi Clan's second Supreme Elder was holding a banquet for his 1200th birthday. Wu Clan needed to send a Gu immortal to represent the clan in the banquet and deliver the birthday gift. Yi Clan was a powerful clan. Its headquarters were in Lin Chi Mountain, which was located in the northeast corner of southern border and was the closest to Eastern Sea. In fact, Yi Clan had all sorts of close connections to Eastern Sea. As for Wu Clan, it was located in the southwest area of southern border. Although it was not at the southwest corner, it was to the farthest south among all the super forces. Such locations determined that the relation between Yi Clan and Wu Clan was always maintained at a good level. Befriend the distant enemy and attack the near ones. This not only applied to the politics and diplomacy of super forces, it was a fundamental principle. Even though many clans were creating difficulties for Wu Clan, Yi Clan had never participated in it. To preserve this layer of relation, Wu Clan had to send a Gu immortal to Yi Clan's second Supreme Elder's banquet to give well wishes. What do you think, have you decided? After a while, Wu Yong asked. Fang Yuan nodded, I have thought it through, and I choose the second task. My battle strength is not high. Choosing to go to Xianming Mountain will probably result in fighting with Yang Clan's Gu immortal. Yang Clan is specialized in soul path while I do not excel in dealing with this path. Then why not choose the third task? Wu Yong smiled, actually, your status is the most suitable for this task, because you are my brother. You will be very warmly received in Yi Clan. Fang Yuan shook his head, giving a bitter smile, brother, spare me. Although it is a birthday banquet, there will definitely be representatives from other super forces. With our Wu Clan's current situation, if I go to the banquet, the other Gu immortals will definitely create difficulties for me. I won't be able to deal with all of them. My own embarrassment is nothing, but more importantly, I would be losing face for Wu Clan. That would be too big of a sin. Wu Yong laughed, since you have thought of everything, it will be improper for me to insist. Then let's do it according to your decision. Brother, if there aren't other matters, I will bid farewell. Go, go. Wu Yong waved his hand. Fang Yuan turned around, but when he reached the entrance, Wu Yong asked, right, when are you going to set off? Fang Yuan turned around, standing close to the door. If Red Dragon River overflows and turns into a calamity, it will definitely cause countless living beings to suffer. I would not dare to be slow on this important matter. I will simply pack up my things and leave shortly afterwards. Good, I can rest at ease then. This matter shall be left to you, you must handle it properly. Wu Yong seemed to be fully confident in Fang Yuan. I will certainly do my best. Fang Yuan solemnly assured, then turned around and left. However, he did not see that after he left, the smile and confidence in Wu Yong's face slowly disappeared. Replacing them was a shade of gloominess. Success. Fang Yuan's heart was shaking with joy, but he showed no expression on the surface. Just like he said to Wu Yong, he packed some things and immediately set off towards the north. He was moving rapidly on his way, but when he had just flown across Yellow Dragon River, Gu Immortal Wu Fa called him to stop. Lord Wu Yi Hai, please slow down, I have new orders from First Supreme Elder. Fang Yuan was laughing on the inside, here it comes. On the surface, however, he showed a surprised expression. He stopped in the air and asked the quickly arriving Wu Fa, Elder Wu Fa, what's the matter? Oh. Wu Fa heaved a deep sigh, his aged face filled with anxiety. There is truth in the saying, when it rains, it pours. There has been an accident over on the Super Gu formation's end. Ba clan has been creating difficulties for our clan. Elder Wu Bei, who was stationed there, is injured and is unable to stabilize the situation. Lord, didn't you want to be sent back there? The opportunity is here. First Supreme Elder was mindful of this and decided to swap Elder Wu Bei with you, to let Elder Wu Bei return to recuperate his injuries. Lord Wu Yi, you will be back in command over at the Super Gu formation. Fang Yuan frowned deeply, looking like he was caught unprepared. How could this happen? As he said this, he seemed to subconsciously glance to the northwest, and said with hesitation, but Red Dragon River's issue is quite severe, it needs to be resolved quickly. First Supreme Elder has already made proper arrangements for this matter, Lord Wu Yi, you do not need to worry. Lord, you need to quickly go and stabilize the situation over there. This is a letter Gu that Lord Wu Yong has personally sent you, you can directly go to Tian Mountain without returning to Wu Clan. Wu Fa handed an information path Mortal Gu to Fang Yuan as he spoke. Fang Yuan received the letter Gu and immediately scanned it with his consciousness. The contents of the letter Gu were naturally Wu Yong's voice, saying a serious situation had occurred on the giant dream realm's end and required Fang Yuan to immediately move over there. Fang Yuan gave a deep sigh, looks like I have no choice but to go. Please make haste, Lord Wu Yi. Elder Wu Fa looked anxious. Fang Yuan shook his head, glancing towards the northwest once more before he turned around and flew towards the northeast. Elder Wu Fa kept on looking at Fang Yuan till he disappeared in the horizons. He then sneered as he looked at the northwest. Everyone knew there was a mountain in the northwest, the Pine Mountain, which was Qiao Clan's main headquarters. Elder Wu Fa returned to Wu Clan's Wui Mountain and reported to Wu Yong, First Supreme Elder, the matter has been handled, Lord Wu Yi is already moving towards the Super Gu formation. Wu Yong was current in the study, he stood up straight, his hand holding a brush which made vigorous movements on a piece of paper. He slightly nodded at Wu Fa, and suddenly stopped his actions. There were 5 large words written on the paper, can be used, but unreliable. A long time ago, when I was still young, Mother asked me about my opinion of Qiao Clan, I replied with these 5 words, I can still remember Mother's smile very clearly. Wu Yong sighed, it's a pity my brother has not understood this. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1322, Restrictions of the Righteous Path. Chapter 1322, Restrictions of the Righteous Path. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Southern border, at the location of Tian Mountain, in the Super Gu formation. Wu Liao, pays respects to Lord Wu Yi. Inside the Super Gu formation, Wu Clan's Gu immortals, Wu Liao and Wuan, greeted Fang Yuan respectfully. Fang Yuan nodded, sit down and explain what happened. Elder Wu Bei actually suffered such heavy injuries. Wu Liao and Wuan glanced at each other, Wu Liao kept quiet, letting Wuan, who was good with words, report, Lord, this is what happened. Originally, Ba Clan was already eager to make a move against Wu Clan, and after Wu Clan was involved in all kinds of difficulties, the Gu immortal leading Ba Clan here, Old Treeman Bada, made a move against Wu Clan. Bada had already been scheming for a long time, and when he made the move, it was so shocking that it put Wu Clan into a passive situation. Wu Clan naturally would not just sit still, Wu Bei set forth, but was schemed against by Bada and had no choice but to have a spar with him. The result of the spar was naturally Ba Clan's victory and Wu Clan's defeat. It is just that we did not expect Lord Wu Bei's injuries to be so severe. Although Lord Wu Bei lost in the spar, he still had a fearsome air. Yes, although he lost to Bada, Lord Wu Bei was still able to engage in the secret discussion with Qiao clans and other clans' Gu immortals. We all thought his injuries were not serious. When Wuan finished speaking, Wu Liao added in a couple of sentences. Fang Yuan sneered inwardly, but had a concerned expression on the surface. I understand the situation, Wu Bei has left and I am here now, everything will be like before, I won't move if the enemy doesn't move. Yes, Lord. Wu Liao and Wuan immediately responded. They were not surprised at such a command. As far as others were concerned, how could Wu Yi's battle strength compare to Bada's? Although Wu Yihai had recently gained some limelight, his victory against Xia Fei Kuai was only in a spar. Furthermore, the rules were decided by him. Although he had resolved the conflict over Mount Snail, there was no show of might during the whole process, and it was resolved through discussion with mountain-moving old monster. Finally, the rumors with Xiao Si Lu carried the feeling of illicit love, and would not engender respect in others. If there is nothing, the two of you may leave. I hurried to get here, I am slightly tired. Fang Yuan waved his hand. Wu Liao immediately excused himself and left, but Wu En hesitated and said softly, "Lord, there is something I need to report." "Speak." Fang Yuan already knew what Wu En wanted to report. Sure enough, Wu En's words did not deviate from Fang Yuan's expectation. It was related to the matter of Dream Realm business which Wu clan and other super clans were engaged in. The situation is tense now, the other clans are also anxious and fearful. Should we stop this business for some time? Wu En worriedly asked. Fang Yuan was silent for a moment. You don't need to worry, I have already said everything will be like before. If there is nothing else, you may leave. Yes, Lord. A trace of joy flashed past Wu En's face as he bowed and left. As long as this Dream Realm's business continued, Wu En could continue to gain profits from it. Why would he not be happy? Even if the matter turned south and the business was exposed by Ba clan, Wu En's responsibility was still very low. Because his superior, Fang Yuan, had allowed the business to continue like before. Fang Yuan was obviously well aware of Wu En's thoughts. He sneered inwardly, this Wu En is simply short-sighted. It was true that Wu clan's situation was not too good at the moment, but it was still the #1 clan of southern border. Bada was very astute, although he made a move, he did not target this Dream Realm business. He knew his limits, because these benefits were not solely enjoyed by Wu clan, but also by other clans. If he had laid a hand on this business, it would lead to hostility from the other clans, who would then ally with Wu clan to deal with this common enemy. It was due to his clear insight towards the situation of the whole of southern border that he did not target this weakness to create difficulties. This was a significant weakness, but if he used it now, the results would not be optimal at this time. If someday in the future, Wu clan's prestige truly crashed, that would be the time to use this and add fuel to the fire. Bada saw this accurately, Fang Yuan did as well. The matters of the world were like games of chess. The best chess players always planned their future moves, knew when to use certain tactics and what chess pieces would achieve the best result. As such, the Dream Realm business could continue to run. What truly decided whether Bada would make a move or not was not this business itself, but Wu clan. The matters of the world were often this strange. The deciding factors of many matters were not the matters themselves, but something that was outside of them. Thinking of this, Fang Yuan subconsciously gazed at the direction of Wu clan. Wu Yong might be a rank 8 Gu immortal, but was still schemed against by Fang Yuan. Because this was not a contest of cultivation and battle strength, but experience and methods. The reason Fang Yuan took the initiative to approach Xiao Si Lu was naturally not for Xiao Si Lu herself, but for something else, that was, to return to the giant Dream Realm. Wu Yong could endure Wu Yihai's greed, but he could not stand Wu Yihai contesting for authority. This was an expected situation. The seed had already been planted before Wu Duxiu passed away. Before she passed away, her last words were that she wanted to give her immortal Gu to Wu Yihai. Wu Yihai's bloodline and origin were already approved. Once he gained some authority, he would become a huge threat to Wu Yong's rule. Just like when Wu Duxiu was in power, she was wary and on guard against Xiao clan. Within Wu clan, Wu Yong was on guard against two threats, Xiao clan and Wu Yihai. Right now, these two were close to each other, even looking like they would wind up together. How could this not make Wu Yong vigilant? Previously, when Wu Yihai had joined Wu clan, Xiao clan had mobilized its agent inside Wu clan, whom unexpectedly was Wu clan's third supreme elder. Many perceptive people were given a fright. How could Wu Yong not be wary? And now, it looked like Wu Yihai was going to collaborate with Xiao clan. How could Wu Yong not make a move early? Wu Yong's action was quite extraordinary. He did not directly question if Fang Yuan still wanted to return to the giant dream realm. He gave Fang Yuan 3 choices: Xianming Mountain, Red Dragon River and Yi Clan's Banquet. There was deep meaning behind these 3 choices. The first task of Xianming Mountain was naturally the most intense task. There was definitely going to be conflict since it concerned a wild immortal Gu. If Fang Yuan chose this task, it would show he did not fear taking risks for the clan, and Wu Yong could make great use of him in the future. The third task of Yi Clan's Banquet was a test. Yi Clan had close relations with Eastern Sea. If Fang Yuan chose this task, it would mean he still had attachment towards Eastern Sea in the depths of his heart. The second task of preventing Red Dragon River's flood was a trap. Wu Clan and Xiao Clan both had territories near Red Dragon River. Wu Clan wanted to prevent a flood, Xiao Clan naturally would also do the same. As such, there would be an opportunity to collaborate with Xiao Clan's Gu immortals. When Fang Yuan chose this task, Wu Yong's heart had immediately chilled. Even if he had been all smiles at that time, he had already made the decision to transfer Wu Yihai away as soon as possible. He could not let Wu Yihai be in contact with Xiao Clan any longer. Xiao Si Lu was one of the 3 great fairies of southern border. She had astonishingly enchanting beauty. Even if Wu Yihai's heart was not moved yet, what about in the future? Even outstanding men might be unable to resist the charms of a beautiful woman, let alone a beauty like Xiao Si Lu. Let alone when besides beauty, she was also tied to extraordinary benefits for him. Once Wu Yihai married Xiao Si Lu, it was a hugely profitable matter to both him and Xiao Clan. Wu Yihai could use Xiao Clan to greatly increase his authority inside Wu Clan. And Xiao Clan could also finally break their historical limit. With a son-in-law like Wu Yihai, this vine that was Xiao Clan could truly penetrate deep into the inner core of the giant tree that was Wu Clan. How could Wu Yong make such a mistake? It was not feasible for him to forcefully break the relationship between the two. It might even backfire if he did not handle it well. Moreover, the righteous path had to do things according to rules. He could not act willfully like in demonic path. Wu Yong had thought for a while, but found it was difficult to handle Wu Yihai. Despite having evidence of Wu Yihai's corruption, Wu Yihai was his own brother in the end. After thinking for a while, Wu Yong thought of the giant dream realm. He could use this dream realm to exile Wu Yihai for as long as possible. After all, wasn't it peaceful when Wu Yihai had stayed in the Gu formation earlier? This past success finally made Wu Yong come to a decision. He immediately took action after making up his mind. Although he gave Fang Yuan 3 choices, in truth, he did not let Fang Yuan have any power to choose. They were just a way of testing him. The righteous path is like this. If one is not at the top, there is no freedom. But even when one is at the top, the whole organization will become the shackles that bind them. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly, but he quickly sorted out his mood and began looking at the dream realm in front of him. He had returned to this familiar place once again, and there were still 2 immortal Gu that belonged to him here. The dream realm was always expanding and always moving. Oh. This dream realm is pretty good. It is a dream realm made of true memories and experiences, and not from absurd imagination. Soon, Fang Yuan finished inspecting it and entered a shiny bright blue dream realm. His vision changed. In a gently sloping hill, a middle-aged Gu immortal had his back towards Fang Yuan. My son, do you know why our 2 clan has dominance over this mountain range? Fang Yuan inspected himself. He found he had already turned into a child. Father, I don't know. He replied after giving it a thought. Formation path. The middle-aged Gu immortal's voice rose, carrying strong pride within it. Formation path. Fang Yuan mumbled. Right. Formation path. The middle-aged Gu immortal turned around, revealing his aged face and resolute eyes, giving off the air of an authority figure. Among the numerous paths, formation path might be the most complicated path. Son, starting today, Father will impart to you the essence of formation path and guide you in cultivation. The middle-aged Gu immortal said with a burning gaze. Yes, father, I will definitely study properly. Fong Yuan replied. The middle-aged Gu immortal shook his head. Studying is not enough, you must achieve success, put in all your effort to be the best, be better than all your peers and even those young Gu immortals. Because you are my, Tu Shicheng's son, because you are the future leader of the clan. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1323, Formation Path contains countless paths. Chapter 1323, Formation Path contains countless paths. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Tu Shicheng. I have never heard of this name. Fong Yuan thought to himself. Since his father's surname was Tu, this boy Fong Yuan was acting as naturally was surnamed Tuesday. Being able to leave behind a dream realm meant he indeed had remarkable skill in formation path, but there seemed to be no formation path great experts with the surname Tu in the history of Gu masters. Fong Yuan scanned through his memories, but did not have any findings. Naturally, his knowledge could not encompass the whole of Gu master history. Maybe this was the dream of a hidden expert. Come, sit by me. The middle-aged Gu immortal sat on the ground, and patted the area beside him. Fong Yuan quickly sat down beside him. My son, do you know how many Gu master paths there are in this world? Tu Shicheng asked with a warm smile on his face. Fong Yuan pondered, there were naturally many Gu master paths, and looking at the trend, even more were starting to thrive. For instance, when Gu master cultivation had just started to flourish, space path and time path were the mainstream paths, afterwards, wisdom path, chi path, strength path, rule path and other paths emerged one after the other, and now, there were even more paths like fire path, water path, metal path, bone path, poison path and so on. 500 years later, there is also dream path, innovation never stops, Gu immortal paths will continue to increase. Fong Yuan pondered inwardly, while replying, according to what I know, there is space path, time path, and also chi path, wisdom path and so on. Tu Shicheng nodded, you are correct, but it is still not detailed. Let me tell you, in Ren Zhu's time during the immemorial antiquity era, there were space path and time path, these two paths researched and expounded on the profundities of time and space. In the remote antiquity era, primordial origin immortal venerable created chi path and enslavement path, star constellation immortal venerable created wisdom path and star path, and our formation path was also created during the later period of the remote antiquity era. But its true founder could not be verified. Refinement path and fire path were also created during this period. In the olden antiquity era, limitless demon venerable created rule path, reckless savage demon venerable created transformation path. Strength path, wind path, light path and dark path were also created in this era. In the medieval antiquity era, Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable created wood path, thieving heaven demon venerable created theft path, giant sun immortal venerable created luck path. Moreover, metal path, water path, ice and snow path, cloud path, earth path, lightning path, information path and sound path emerged one after another. This was an era where all kinds of diverse paths appeared. And in our present era, bone path was created, there are also phantom path and restriction path. Naturally, what I mentioned are only the mainstream Gu master paths, minor paths like enchantment path, illusion path, and others will be omitted for now. Fong Yuan immediately came to an understanding when he heard these words. So this dream realm is set in the late antiquity era. Right now, spectral soul demon venerable has yet to appear, otherwise Tu Shicheng would have mentioned him. Tu Shicheng continued, son, I have elaborated on so much because I want to tell you our formation path is one of the longest standing paths in history. Although it cannot be compared to space path and time path, it was created in the same era as chi path and wisdom path. Just based on seniority, it appeared even before transformation path. As he said this, Tu Shicheng asked, the essence of transformation path is to project countless paths, son, what do you think is the essence of formation path? Although Fang Yuan's attainment in formation path was extremely ordinary, this question was fairly simple and common, he knew about it. He replied, formation path contains countless paths. Good answer. Tu Shicheng did not stint on his praise, and gave a deeper explanation. Our formation path can set up Gu formations, which can use Gu worms of space path and time path. We can also use Gu worms of metal path, wood path, fire path, water path, and so on. Just because of this, formation path can be said to be the most complex path among all the paths. Setting up a Gu formation is very difficult, because it might need to use Gu worms of many other paths. As such, when cultivating formation path, we need to have some understanding of other paths. Even if the understanding is not deep, we need to have basic knowledge of them. At the least, we need to have deep understanding of the Gu worms we are using. Fang Yuan continued to nod while listening. This was one of the difficulties of formation path cultivation. Actually, every path had some areas which it was proficient in and weak in. For instance, cultivating enslavement path allowed one to fight many by oneself, but it had an extremely huge demand on resources. Cultivating and learning formation path was a large obstacle, because it involved Gu worms of other paths. Formation path Gu worms were only the foundation and framework of a Gu formation, the rest of the content required large numbers of Gu worms from other paths. Because of this, it was difficult to learn and master formation path. Nurturing a formation path expert was not easy. On one hand, it had high demand towards resources, time and knowledge. On the other hand, the Gu master needed to have talent for it and put in effort as well. As such, in the Gu immortal world, there had always been very few Gu immortals who specialized in formation path. Naturally, this rarity was only relative. At the very least, there were more formation path Gu immortals than wisdom path Gu immortals. This was also the reason why Fang Yuan had not involved himself in formation path in the 500 years of his previous life. The barrier to entry was high, and it was difficult to learn. Son, since you have become a Gu master today, I will give you your first Gu worm. At this time, Tu Shicheng's palm slowly opened, revealing a small Gu worm. This Gu looked like a ladybug. Its carapace was glossy and round, it was as small as a little finger, and it had a glistening yellow shine, giving a cute appearance. This is formation heart Gu, come, refine it first. Tu Shicheng said. With Tu Shicheng's help, Fang Yuan directly refined this rank 1 Gu worm. Formation heart Gu's carapace opened up, the thin wings inside continuously flapped as it merrily flew around its new master, Fang Yuan. This Gu worm was not precious and could even be said to be extremely ordinary. Because it was one of the most basic Gu worms to lay a formation, and was commonly available throughout the 5 regions. Alright, let's play a game. Tu Shicheng smiled, taking out 4 Gu worms. They are all rank 1 Gu, I will lend them to you temporarily. Come, use your formation heart Gu as the core, choose the Gu worms from here and arrange them, see if you can form a Gu formation. Fang Yuan's eyebrows slightly rose, glancing at Tu Shicheng in surprise. Was this a joke? This boy had just become a Gu master, and he wanted him to construct a Gu formation on the same day. Although Fang Yuan had not truly cultivated formation path, he had some superficial knowledge of formation path. For instance, normally speaking, this youth should only be involved in constructing a Gu formation after at least 2 to 3 months. After all, he had just become a Gu master. Controlling a Gu worm was strenuous, everything was new to him, calculating primeval essence, nourishing the aperture, feeding Gu worms, and other aspects, they all required him to adapt and train. Now, in this dream, this Tu Shicheng was actually asking his son, a boy who had just become a Gu master, to construct a Gu formation. This style of education is truly original. Fortunately, it is a dream realm and it is all up to me. How could a normal child accomplish this task? Or maybe, it is because he could not accomplish this, his obsession turned into this dream realm. While guessing, he sized up the 4 Gu worms. But, he actually was not able to recognize them all. With his knowledge, he only recognized 3 of them, and could not identify the remaining 1. It was somewhat awkward. But when he thought of it, it was also not strange. The time period of this dream was the late antiquity era. Spectral soul demon venerable had not appeared yet, thus the situation compared to the present was very different. Moreover, there were countless Gu worms, unique and mysterious. There were also many innovated Gu worms and many secretly guarded Gu worms, of which little were known by others. How could Fang Yuan know of all the Gu worms? Even though he was not able to recognize them all, Fang Yuan was still aware of the paths of these 4 Gu worms. They were of earth path, water path, wind path and fire path. The one that Fang Yuan did not recognize was the earth path Gu worm. To construct a Gu formation, I need to first understand these Gu worms. There is no need to worry about formation heart Gu, but what use does this earth path Gu worm have? Fang Yuan intended to test this Gu and see its ability. But this action was stopped by Tu Shicheng. Tu Shicheng spoke with solemnness, use your heart to sense it, listen to the sound of your heart, rely on your feelings. Construct the Gu formation according to your feelings. Remember, you only have one chance. Fang Yuan was immediately dumbfounded. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1324, Fang Yuan's 2 Trump Cards. Chapter 1324, Fang Yuan's 2 Trump Cards. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Although Tu Shicheng was the father of this boy that Fang Yuan was disguised as, he was completely unreliable. What did he mean by rely on feelings? Innate talents could not be embodied like this. If the construction of the Gu formation failed, in a minor case, the Gu worms would be injured or destroyed, and in a severe case, the Gu master themselves would suffer the backlash. If one could create a Gu formation just by relying on feelings, formation path Gu immortals would not be so rare in the present 5 regions. Arranging a Gu formation was a precise and rigorous task, like deducing immortal Gu recipes. They both were similar, requiring a process, detailed consideration and continuous tests. However, since the dream realm was like this, Fang Yuan calmed his mind, and continued to ponder how he should tackle this situation where it seemed he truly had to do it in the way Tu Shicheng said. Fang Yuan asked, do I need to use all the 4 Gu worms? Of course not. But you need to at least select 2 to set up a Gu formation. Tu Shicheng replied. I simply don't know about this earth path Gu worm, so it will be better to give it up. Fang Yuan continued to think, as such, he had 3 choices in front of him. Hurry up, don't think too much, rely on your feelings. Just as Fang Yuan had spent slightly longer in thinking, Tu Shicheng's expression sank a little, urging, I will give you 3 breaths of time. 3 breaths of time. And there was only one chance. Wasn't he purposely making it difficult? A thought flashed past Fang Yuan's mind, do I need to use Unravel Dream? His current accumulation was already different from the past. Last time, when he explored the giant dream realm, he had limited quantities of dream path mortal Gu, which led to a limited number of times that Unravel Dream could be used. Fang Yuan had to be very efficient when using it. But it was different now. Fang Yuan had enough confidence. Because he had captured many nightmare demonic cults, using these natural dream path immortal materials along with his persistent refinement, he now possessed very many dream path mortal Gu. Thus, the number of times he could use Unravel Dream was at a peak now. Precisely because of this, Fang Yuan had an unprecedented amount of confidence. Forget it. This is only the first layer of the dream realm, even if it fails, I can continue to explore. Although I can use Unravel Dream much more now, I cannot waste it like this. Fang Yuan thought for a moment and gave up on using Unravel Dream. He began to activate the Gu worms. First was Formation Heart Gu. This yellow ladybug was already refined by him, his primeval essence was consumed, it immediately hovered and stopped in front of Fang Yuan, shining with pale yellow light. Fire path, water path, wind path. Fang Yuan mumbled, since he had given up on the earth path Gu worm, then he only had these 3 choices remaining. He chose the rank 1 Water Path Gu worm. The reason for this choice was simple: his Fire Path and Wind Path attainment levels were ordinary, but in Water Path, he was a Grandmaster. Grandmaster attainment was not for show. The Water Path Gu worm was successfully activated. It was bathed in the yellow light and revolved around the formation Heart Gu, flying up and down. Fire Path and Wind Path. Fang Yuan chose Wind Path. The Wind Path Gu worm also mixed in, and like the Water Path Gu worm, it flew around the formation Heart Gu. It was just that the Wind Path Gu worm was in the periphery, while the Water Path Gu worm was nearer to the formation Heart Gu. Fang Yuan waited for a bit. Among these 3 Gu worms, one was hovering in the air while the other 2 were continuously flying around. They were all activated but were still extremely stable. Although they have not formed a true Gu formation, this progress is quite good. Fang Yuan was slightly pleased. To use an analogy, arranging a Gu formation was like building blocks. Each Gu worm was a strangely shaped building block. The Gu master needed to arrange these building blocks into the shape they wanted. These scattered building blocks would form high towers, buildings and other shapes, creating an effect that far surpassed the individual building block. Although Fang Yuan had not successfully arranged these building blocks into a shape, these 3 Gu worms were at least mutually compatible and did not collapse. This was quite good progress. However, a trace of gloominess and disappointment flashed past Tu Shicheng's eyes. Fang Yuan, who was focused on setting up the Gu formation, did not notice it. Now, I need to adjust it. Does the formation Heart Gu need to stay in the center? Can the positions of the Water Path and Wind Path Gu be swapped? Water Path inside, and Wind Path outside, can I adjust it to Water Path outside, and Wind Path inside? Or maybe, the Water Path Gu and the Wind Path Gu can be together. Should I let the Wind Path Gu revolve around the Water Path Gu instead of the formation Heart Gu? As Fang Yuan pondered, all kinds of plans emerged in his mind. He did not know what results these plans could give, or what effects would they have. His formation path attainment was truly too lacking. Rely on your feelings, stop hesitating. Tu Shicheng urged, looking somewhat impatient. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth. Actually, he didn't need Tu Shicheng's urging, he also knew he had to take action. If nothing else, his primeval essence was about to dry up. In the dream realm, he had just become a Gu master. Although he had a great aptitude, he was activating 3 Gu worms at the same time, which intensely burdened on his primeval essence. He already did not have much time to think. Let's give it a try then. Fang Yuan inwardly gritted his teeth, as he activated the Fire Path Gu worm as well, putting it inside the newly created structure. He made no changes to the previous foundation. Because he did not know what use making changes would have, and also did not know if there was a need to make changes. He was a pure beginner with no feeling for the right action. The attempt was done blindly. But my luck is good, maybe I can succeed by chance. Fang Yuan still had some hope. But soon, his hope was ruined. The moment the Fire Path Gu worm was added in, it immediately led to a chain reaction. The Fire Path Gu's strength joined with the Wind Path Gu, immediately increasing the power. This immediately conflicted with the Water Path Gu that was inside. Water and fire were opposing forces, immediately creating an explosion. A soft explosion echoed. It was not intense, but it still exploded, covering Fang Yuan's face with black soot. His hair stood up on end, white smoke was rising. At the same time, the formation Heart Gu was directly destroyed. The other 3 Gu worms were also injured to various degrees. The Water Path and Fire Path Gu worms were on the verge of death, while the Wind Path Gu worm was also heavily injured. You have failed. Tu Shicheng's expression changed. He said with a cold tone, you truly disappoint me. Guh. Fang Yuan's vision changed as he was expelled out of the dream realm. The first exploration had failed. His soul returned to his body slightly shook, his healthy complexion suddenly paled. Fang Yuan immediately inspected his injuries, and found that the injury to his soul was much more severe than he expected. But it did not matter. Guts Gu. Fang Yuan took out a Guts Gu and crushed it. The injuries of his soul were immediately relieved greatly. Fang Yuan used another Daoist Gu, and immediately his soul injuries were completely healed. The slight sense of vertigo had disappeared at once. Because he had Daoist Gu, Fang Yuan was not afraid of failing in his dream realm exploration and his soul being injured. Right now, I should be the first person to explore the dream realm. Even Shadow Sect's remnant forces won't be able to catch up to me. Fang Yuan calculated. This was because he had two great trump cards to explore dream realms. First was Daoist Gu, it could heal soul injuries. Second was Unravel Dream. Once used, it would get one straight to solving the problem. Its usefulness was somewhat unreasonable. Daoist Gu came from Dang Hun Mountain. Fang Yuan had placed Dang Hun Mountain in Langya Blessed Land, and was even cooperating with Langya sect in trading Daoist Gu. They had a monopoly on Daoist Gu business, they were the only ones producing it, and its demand was always higher than its supply. Recently, Fang Yuan had not been selling his portion of the Daoist Gu for profit, instead, he was accumulating them. He had a single objective, to be fully prepared in exploring the dream realm. Thus, he had large numbers of Daoist Gu with him. Because of this, he was short on money, and had no choice but to expand the scale of some of his resources to improve his finances. The first failure did not matter. With Daoist Gu, Fang Yuan's soul immediately recovered, and could go for a second exploration. But he was not hurried, instead using Connecting Heaven Gu to let his divine sense enter Treasure Yellow Heaven. He began to gather information. First was that Earth Path Mortal Gu. Fang Yuan did not recognize it, so he needed to understand it. Fang Yuan soon bought a set of the Encyclopedia of Earth Path Gu Worms from an Earth Path Gu Immortal. This was an information transaction and was among the businesses in Treasure Yellow Heaven. There were transactions of methods to target against Gu worms, there were introductions and understandings of Gu paths, there was news of the present political situation, there were also deductions of time path and wisdom path Gu immortals on the past, present and future. Fang Yuan naturally could rely on his 500 years of experiences to sell information that could definitely attract people. But this kind of information was normally very cheap, and not long after selling them, Fang Yuan's rebirth advantage would weaken, so Fang Yuan had never even considered it. Fang Yuan was not satisfied with just this Gu Immortal's work, the Encyclopedia of Earth Path Gu Worms, and bought some relevant information, naturally including some mortal formation path inheritances. These cost him close to 10 immortal essence stones. To Fang Yuan, this was just peanuts. He soon learned of that Earth Path Mortal Gu from the information he bought. This was a Gu worm that appeared in the early stages of the late Antiquity era. It was soon extinct, because the Gu materials required to refine it had been wiped out. The information recorded briefly introduced this Earth Path Gu worm's ability. Fang Yuan even obtained the recipe of this Earth Path Mortal Gu from another information source. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1325, 4 Elements Concept. Chapter 1325, 4 Elements Concept. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Naturally, the practicality of this Gu recipe was extremely low. Because most of the materials for this Gu no longer existed. If Fang Yuan wanted to refine this mortal Gu, he would have to modify the recipe. He naturally would not do such a pointless thing. With the information he gathered, he already had a deep understanding of this mortal Gu. Next, Fang Yuan read those mortal formation path inheritances. This enriched some of his formation path foundation. Despite him not having taken the initiative to research formation path, he had come into contact with it indirectly in his first life, or come across some formation path contents in fortuitous encounters. As such, this enrichment was limited and not high in scope. It was just that he was only focusing on the test in the dream realm this time. He had an objective when gathering the formation path information, and he knew from some information, in the late Antiquity era, formation path had a prevailing concept. This concept stated that the 4 basic elements of earth, water, wind, and fire could make a Gu formation stable, they could make most basic Gu formations and were the most inclusive. Naturally, this concept only prevailed for some time, after dozens of years, it went out of favor. Compared to the whole history of formation path, dozens of years was too short. This concept was like a small ripple that disappeared in the long river of history. It is just like the origins of mankind. On Earth, people once believed that humans were made by divine beings, be it the Chinese concept of Nuwa creating mankind, or the Western concept of God creating mankind. This was an ideology that lasted for a long time, and after it dominated people's thinking for a long period, it was broken by Darwin's theory of evolution. But in regards to whether Darwin's theory of evolution pointed precisely to the truth or not, as science develops, people over time may find flaws in it. Fang Yuan's thoughts were wandering. This earth, water, wind and fire concept was similar. Following formation path's development, people started to find that the Gu formations created by the four basic elements of earth, water, wind and fire were not the most inclusive formations. People made new discoveries, continuously deepening their knowledge and continuously progressing. Even though this concept was abandoned not long after, back then, it was progress of some kind. This information was quite valuable. It directly gave Fang Yuan the correct way to pass the first stage of the dream realm. It turns out that I had to use all the Gu worms to truly create a Gu formation. Fang Yuan gained an epiphany. At the same time, he sighed, this Tu Shicheng is really quite deceitful. Clearly all 4 Gu worms had to be used, but he actually played dumb and said I needed to use at least 2 mortal Gu. Fang Yuan fell into deep thought. Even though he knew this, he still did not know how to make the 4 Gu worms revolve around formation heart Gu to build an effective Gu formation. If these 4 mortal Gu could be refined, Fang Yuan could test it out in reality. This was also a common method used by laymen in deciphering dream realms in the early stages. But now, that Earth Path Gu worm was difficult to refine. Even if you refined an Earth Path mortal Gu by modifying the Gu recipe, could it truly be the same as the one in the dream realm? This was a dream realm. Sometimes there would be some differences in the dream realm from reality, and it was not a direct reproduction of reality. Fang Yuan pondered, and decided it was better to test it in the dream realm. The second attempt played out like before. But this time, Fang Yuan chose to activate all these 4 mortal Gu at the same time and coordinate them with formation heart Gu. It failed. The 4 mortal Gu self-detonated simultaneously. Fang Yuan was injured and kicked out of the dream realm. The third attempt, Fang Yuan chose to use the Earth Path Gu worm first, and Water Path Gu worm second, but it failed again. Following the 4th attempt and 5th attempt, only by the 7th attempt did Fang Yuan succeeded. The 4 mortal Gu were flying around formation heart Gu. The Water Path and Fire Path Gu worms were flying in an elliptic orbit, sometimes near and sometimes far from formation heart Gu. Earth Path Gu was hovering below formation heart Gu, while the Wind Path Gu was hovering above. Both were still. Under the control of formation heart Gu, these 4 Gu worms formed a mysterious force that continuously let out hazy rainbow colors. A Gu master's primeval essence would recover at twice the speed inside this light. To Gu masters, this is an extremely practical Gu formation. Fang Yuan thought to himself. Ha ha ha, good, very good, you are truly my son, you have natural talent for formation path after all. Tu Shicheng laughed loudly and happily at Fang Yuan's success. Fang Yuan. The hill, the sky, and the land slowly disappeared from Fang Yuan's vision. The first stage of the dream realm was over, the second stage was starting. Fang Yuan breathed out a sigh of relief. He had persisted on not using Unravel Dream in the first stage. In the end, only about 10 or so Guts Gu were consumed, the total expenses were still low. Without checking how much his formation path attainment had risen, Fang Yuan focused his attention on the surroundings. He discovered he was in a cage. And inside this enormous cage, there was a smaller cage. Inside this cage was a pitch-black panther. It was skinny and its eyes shined with mad hunger, indicating how dangerous it was right now. What's going on? Fang Yuan was bewildered. Right at this moment, Tu Shicheng, who was standing outside the cage, said to Fang Yuan, I will give you 5 minutes to arrange these Gu worms into a Gu formation. After 5 minutes are over, this panther will be released. I absolutely won't make a move at that time, and will only see if you can use the Gu formation to resist this panther. What? Fang Yuan's eyes opened wide. This method of education, hey, are you really this kid's father? You are the son of Tu Shicheng, you can definitely do it. If you can't do it, then you are not worthy of being my son. Tu Shicheng continued with an expressionless face. My goodness. Fang Yuan thought, lips twitching as he looked at himself. He found that he had not grown much and not much time had passed since the first stage. He was at most about the age of 14. This Tu Shicheng looks like he should be a righteous path Gu immortal, why is he so heartless? Maybe this is intimidation to force his son to fully release his potential. Fang Yuan speculated inwardly. Regardless of who this Tu Shicheng's son is, he is truly unlucky. Time was limited, Fang Yuan calmed his mood and began to inspect the Gu worms he had. The caged panther was only an ordinary beast, but with his current young body, he definitely could not oppose it. He could only make a Gu formation to resist it. There were 5 Gu worms, they were still rank 1. Among them, one was formation Heart Gu, while the other 4 belonged to Earth Path, Wind Path, Water Path and Fire Path. It was almost the same as in the first stage. The difference was that although the paths were the same, the 4 Gu worms were different ones from the first stage. How should he group these Gu worms to form a Gu formation? Fang Yuan began to try. With the precious experience from the first stage, Fang Yuan was quite proficient. The first attempt quickly failed, Fang Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood in the dream realm due to the backlash, but fortunately, the Gu worms were not injured. He was also not expelled from the dream realm. Looks like I can continue to try until the limit of 5 minutes is reached. Although there are still chances to continue, there is in fact almost no hope. Fang Yuan frowned. Because of the injuries, although nothing happened to the Gu worms, his own state was very bad, his primeval essence had depleted and he was injured. Fang Yuan soon discovered that because of the injuries, when he continued to try again, he was unsteady, and although the Gu worms flew up, they were shaking. The second attempt also failed. There was more time left, but Fang Yuan was unable to continue attempting, because a Gu worm had died in the second failure. If it were any of the other path's mortal Gu, it would not be the end, but it just happened to be the formation Heart Gu. Father, my Gu worm is destroyed, can you give me another formation Heart Gu? Fang Yuan quickly asked. But the reply he got was a ruthless shake of the head from Tu Shicheng. What if you were in a battle, who would give you a substitute Gu worm? Son, you disappointed me, you have no chances left. Sure enough, the moment the time limit was reached, the small cage opened up and the panther pounced forward, biting at Fang Yuan's throat instantly. This dream realm was extremely realistic, Fang Yuan could clearly sense his throat being torn, his breathing becoming difficult, the heart-rending pain that came when his skin was ripped apart by the panther's sharp fangs. Blood spewed out rapidly from his wounds, and the panther drank it contentedly. Tu Shicheng shook his head, sighing, you are not worthy of being my son. He then turned around and left. Not giving the solution even at the end, is this Tu Shicheng of the righteous path or demonic path? After being expelled from the dream realm, Fang Yuan's soul returned to his body, he was naturally gloomy. After using Guts Gu to heal his injuries, he continued to explore. Second failure, third failure, fourth failure. Every time he failed, Fang Yuan would be killed by the panther and relive the miserable pain from being eaten alive. If it were any other person, their mind might have already collapsed. However, Fang Yuan was not afraid, he had suffered pain beyond this an uncountable number of times. He only treated the pain as a cool breeze blowing across his face, his mind still focused on constructing the Gu formation. 10th failure, 11th, 12th. This second stage was much more difficult than the first stage. After Fang Yuan was expelled from the dream realm, his soul injuries were also much more severe than what he suffered in the first stage. His soul would be healed using just 2 Guts Gu in the first stage, but in the second stage, he needed at least 3 Guts Gu and sometimes even 4 to be healed. Fang Yuan calmly calculated his expenses. If this continues, the cost will become steeper, do I have to use Unravel Dream? Wait. While he was feeling troubled, he suddenly had an inspiration. He entered the dream realm and continued to attempt it. There was a way. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1326, Rise in Formation Path Attainment Level. Chapter 1326, Rise in Formation Path Attainment Level. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. A while later, after 2 tries, Fang Yuan successfully constructed a Gu formation in the dream realm. This Gu formation still used formation Heart Gu as the core. It was just that the Earth Path Gu worm was hovering above the formation Heart Gu, while the Fire Path and Wind Path Gu worms revolved around the Water Path Gu worm. And the Water Path Gu worm spanned the distance of a hand below the formation Heart Gu, continuously moving up and down. The Gu formation made by these Gu worms emitted a hazy white light that shrouded the panther. That's right. This Gu formation was an entrapment Gu formation targeted at the panther, and did not protect the Gu master themselves. Constructing it was not easy. The panther continuously moved around, influencing the construction of the Gu formation. Occasionally, Fang Yuan had to stop and wait for the panther to move away from a specific location. 1. This was also the reason why Tu Shicheng gave 5 minutes. Fang Yuan needed the time to arrange the formation. Ha, good, you are indeed my son. You will continue to study with me in the following days. In a month, there will be an even stricter test which will concern your life and death. If you cannot pass, you shall die. Tu Shicheng laughed, his laughter containing madness. Fang Yuan's young body was standing inside the cage. He glanced at the panther that was constantly struggling inside the Gu formation, and then glanced at Tu Shicheng, sighing softly. This formation path dream realm's 2nd stage was passed. Next was the 3rd stage. Fang Yuan followed Tu Shicheng to a riverside where the tides were coming in fast. Looking at the water of this river that was flowing to the east and was red like blood, Fang Yuan immediately realized, this was Southern Border's Red Dragon River. Southern Border had 3 great rivers that passed through the whole region: Red Dragon River, Jade Dragon River and Yellow Dragon River. Fang Yuan immediately had a bad feeling when he saw this river. Sure enough, at the next moment, he heard Tu Shicheng's voice, I have already lent you the Gu worms, now you can only depend on yourself. If you cannot construct a Gu formation, you are well aware of the consequences. Fang Yuan was just about to speak to stall for time, but he was slapped on the back by Tu Shicheng. Fang Yuan was simply unable to resist the enormous strength and was immediately pushed into Red Dragon River. F***CK. Fang Yuan cursed inwardly as he fell into the surging river and was immediately swept away by the current helplessly. Fang Yuan struggled with all his might. He only had a young body. Fortunately, Fang Yuan's swimming ability was carried over, and after struggling for a while, he was able to raise his head out of the water and took in large breaths. Making the best use of his time, Fang Yuan inspected the Gu worms he had. Damn it! Soon, he mentally cursed once again, because this time, it was not just the 4 mortal Gu like he expected, but 12. He had to arrange them in such a short period of time. There were too many ways to arrange them, and under such terrible conditions, hope was slim. Fang Yuan did not hesitate this time, and directly activated Unravel Dream. Immediately, an answer appeared in his mind. He immediately understood the first 3 steps of how to activate the Gu worms and arrange the Gu formation. Only the first 3 steps. Fang Yuan had no choice but to continue to activate Unravel Dream. The 4th step, 5th step and 6th step also appeared in his mind. It was an accurate and precise answer. But there were still some steps from being able to construct the Gu formation. Fang Yuan was just about to activate Unravel Dream for the 3rd time, when suddenly a change occurred in the river, and he was swallowed by a whirlpool. Bam! A muffled sound echoed. Fang Yuan crashed headfirst into a tree floating in the whirlpool, falling unconscious immediately. The next moment, Fang Yuan woke up. He had returned to reality. His soul was severely injured, making him see stars. He quickly used Guts Gu, 1, 2, 6 Guts Gu before he finally recovered. The 3rd stage is even more difficult. The environment to arrange the formation is so hazardous. But my formation path attainment has already advanced to quasi-master level. After Fang Yuan realized it, he slowly opened his eyes with a trace of joy. What was attainment level? Attainment level was a Gu master's unique cognition, involving their sensations and experiences, their insights towards nurturing, using, refining Gu and so on, summed up and condensed. It was their comprehension of the great Tao of heaven and earth. Attainment levels were divided into 5 levels: ordinary, master, grandmaster, great grandmaster and supreme grandmaster. Naturally, in between these, there were small levels like quasi-master, quasi-grandmaster and quasi-great grandmaster. Ordinary attainment was the level that most Gu masters would reach in their lifetimes. Quasi-master attainment was already rare. Young Gu masters with outstanding aptitude or experienced old Gu masters could reach this. Master level was when the use of Gu worms went beyond superficial workmanship to the level of an art. It was rare to find even one master among 10,000 Gu masters. For example, during the contest of imperial court, there were only 5 enslavement path masters: Jiang Baoya, Yang Peng, Ma Zun, Chang Shan-yin, Fang Yuan, and New Air Tuesday. Naturally, the 1 in 10,000 was referring to mortals. To rank 6 Gu immortals, their main paths were this level at minimum. Those who possessed quasi-grandmaster attainment were often elites among rank 6 Gu immortals. Grandmaster level was when one had a very profound grasp of the path, having deep foundations and being able to mimic the effects of other paths. Specifically, the main path's Gu worms could be used to imitate the advantages of other paths. He Fan's true inheritance had an immortal killer move, 100 Years Harmony, which was a classic example. It used time path Gu worms to produce an effective information path. This also showed that He Fan's time path attainment level was at least grandmaster. Normally speaking, there were few Gu immortals that could attain grandmaster level. It often required 100 years or even hundreds of years of accumulation, along with natural talent. In Fang Yuan's first life, he had attained grandmaster in blood path only in the latter stage of his 500 years of life. Those whom were able to have grandmaster attainment level were mostly rank 7 Gu immortals. Above grandmaster was quasi-great grandmaster, which was even rarer. They were often rank 7 experts or certain rank 8s. As for great grandmaster level, most rank 8 Gu immortals would attain this in their lifetimes. Those whom were able to attain quasi-supreme grandmaster were scarce, few produced even in thousands of years. The rarity of supreme grandmasters need not be explained. For instance, in refinement path, there were only 3 supreme grandmasters in history. Among them was a hairy man, long-hair ancestor. Fang Yuan's formation path attainment level could not even be counted as ordinary, but now it had soared to quasi-master level. Most Gu masters would find it difficult to reach this in their lifetimes, no matter how much effort they put in. Fang Yuan had attained this just by using up a few days of time and exploring 2 stages of the dream realm. This was the power of dream realms. They contain true meaning. Once a Gu immortal successfully explored a dream realm and obtained the true meaning, their attainment level would be directly raised and their understanding of part of the great Tao would be deepened. Just 2 stages were enough to advance to quasi-master level in formation path. This dream realm is extraordinary. No wonder it has such difficulty. But I really haven't heard of Tu Shicheng. His method of education was truly unique, leaving Fang Yuan speechless. But the person he was educating was this dream realm source. This youth was clearly a major character. Fang Yuan could clearly sense he was only a step away from master level in formation path. As long as I complete the 3rd stage, my formation path attainment level will soar to master. Fang Yuan excitedly licked his lips. A successful exploration of the dream realm raised his foundation. This increase was so huge, allowing Fang Yuan to go through an extraordinary shortcut, and he was unable to stop desiring for more. But since he had already left the dream realm, Fang Yuan was not in haste to go back in. He recalled all the scenes in the 3rd stage, especially the Gu worms with him. He had only recognized 60% of them, thus he was now searching for information on these Gu worms to increase his understanding. These were all mortal Gu, it was just that most of them had long since vanished in history. Fang Yuan soon found the information he wanted, and gained an understanding of these mortal Gu. Then he began to reread those mortal formation path inheritances he had bought before. The feeling he got from reading this time was a completely different experience from before. Previously, Fang Yuan only saw the surface of most of the contents of the inheritances, but now, he was able to see their deeper meanings with just one look. They were clearly things he had already read, but Fang Yuan made new discoveries this time. This feeling was extremely mysterious, like sudden enlightenment. However, there were things which Fang Yuan could not completely comprehend. After all, he was only at quasi-master. Some outstanding characters among mortal Gu masters could reach master level. The inheritances they left behind naturally had some things Fang Yuan could not understand properly at the moment. Fang Yuan was immersed in the profundity of formation path, unaware of the passing time. If he was thirsty, he drank water; if he was hungry, he ate some fruits. Many thoughts emerged and disappeared like waves in his mind. He was using wisdom path methods to help quicken his progress of learning formation path. Formation path's contents were truly vast, having connections with every path. Thus, it was considered the most complicated path. Only when Wuan requested an audience did Fang Yuan slowly come back to his senses. Unknowingly, 8 days have already passed. Fang Yuan was in a daze for a moment before his gaze slowly cleared up. In his mind, most of the disordered thoughts gradually faded. For the last 10 days, Fang Yuan was lost in the learning process. Not only did his formation path attainment level receive a boost, his comprehension of various basic contents of formation path had also strengthened. What is he here for? Fang Yuan impatiently furrowed his brows. But after thinking for a moment, he still decided to see this Wu Clan Gu immortal. As it turned out, Wuan brought over Lady White Rabbit, who reported the situation of the Dream Realm business and gave concrete accounts to Fang Yuan for inspection. Despite Fang Yuan not placing attention on this business, he was, after all, the leader of the whole business. As a subordinate, Lady White Rabbit had to hand over the report. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1327, Letter of Challenge to Qi Shang. Chapter 1327, Letter of Challenge to Qi Shang. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan roughly skimmed through the accounts, increasing his understanding of the forces around him. He then asked Wuan and Lady White Rabbit to leave. Lord, there is a matter, I don't know if I should speak of it or not. Before leaving, Wuan spoke with some hesitation. Speak. Fang Yuan was straightforward. Wuan reported to Fang Yuan that there were some rumors recently saying that Qi Clan Gu immortal Qi Shang was coming over to inspect the Super Gu formation. Fang Yuan immediately understood Wu An's meaning, and waved for him to leave. Xiao Si Lu has many pursuers, this Qi Shang is the most important one among them. He has never taken the initiative to do an inspection. This time, he is most likely coming over to find trouble with me. However, righteous path Gu immortals could not disregard all considerations and engage in life and death battle. At most, there would be a drop in reputation. At worst, I will give up my reputation and avoid fighting. Fang Yuan rubbed his chin, but I also need to prevent my secrets from being exposed. After all, this Super Gu formation was built under the leadership of Qi Clan. Among Southern Border's super forces, Qi Clan is absolutely the #1 force in formation path. Fang Yuan already understood those mortal formation path contents clearly, and there were only a few things which he could not understand completely. However, when he looked at this Super Gu formation he was in, there was still no change. He was still dazzled like an ant facing a vast river of stars. Qi Clan's first Supreme Elder had personally set up this Super Gu formation. He was a great grandmaster in formation path. Qi Shang's arrival was quicker than everyone's expectations. A banquet to welcome him was essential. Because Qi Shang represented Qi Clan in this trip, what's more, he was responsible for inspecting around the Super Gu formation to see if there were any defensive flaws and so on. During the banquet, everyone interacted with each other, portraying a cohesive gathering on the outside, but secretly, there were undercurrents brewing. The perceptive people knew this was not originally Qi Shang's task, but he had taken the initiative for this duty. Everyone in Southern Border knew Qi Shang was pursuing Xiao Si Lu, but in these recent times, there were rumors of Wu Yi Hai being very close with Xiao Si Lu. Qi Shang's objective in this trip was self-evident. But unfortunately, Fang Yuan did not partake in this banquet, instead holed up in the Gu formation, continuing to explore the dream realm. Many people interested in this could not help but be disappointed at not being able to see a good show. Bada slowly put down his cup. Nephew Qi Shang, I have already introduced all the Gu immortals here to you, they are all elites. Unfortunately, there is still one person who has not appeared today, this person is even more outstanding. He came from Eastern Sea, and later on, became a part of our southern border. Recently, he has defeated Xia Fei Kuai and Mountain Moving Old Monster, and is the head of Wu clan here. All the Gu immortals in the banquet felt a jolt in their minds, they all knew precisely whom Bada was talking about. Qi Shang wore a white robe, he had a handsome face, deep eyes and an aquiline nose, giving him a dark and devious aura. He was 160 years old by now. Old Treeman Bada was much older than him. Qi clan and Ba clan were also united by marriage, thus Bada was not randomly addressing Qi Shang by calling him nephew. Qi Shang smiled, I have also heard of the great name of Wu Yihai. It is truly regretful that I could not meet him today. But I will be here for some time, and I will also be inspecting all around the Gu formation. At that time, I will definitely meet Wu Yihai. Qi Shang showcased initiative, immediately making everyone think over this. Fang Yuan, who was hiding away, looked quite weak-willed, compared to Qi Shang. The banquet ended, Wu En and Wu Liao were aggrieved, and both requested to have an audience with Fang Yuan. They had a very uncomfortable time in this banquet. They were cast aside by the others and even taunted, the only thing missing was nobody asking them for a spar. Oh. Since that is the case, then I shall hold a banquet tomorrow, send an invitation to Qi Shang. Fang Yuan thought for a bit, before speaking. Wu En and Wu Liao glanced at each other, they felt excited as they retreated with Fang Yuan's order. Only Fang Yuan, alone, remained in the large hall. He walked to the depths of the hall and looked at the dream realm. He had already explored more than half of this formation path dream realm. After using Unravel Dream, Fang Yuan had passed through the 3rd, 4th and 5th stages. The main contents of the dream realm were Tu Shirching teaching his son about formation path. His education style was brutal and harsh, using survival to forcefully stimulate his son's potential. Fang Yuan had suffered so much from this that he no longer had the energy to curse. Unravel Dream had outstanding effects indeed, these stages were no obstacle to Fang Yuan, letting Fang Yuan's current formation path attainment soar once again. He had not only stepped into master level, he even went one step further, becoming a quasi-grandmaster. But I still am a long way from truly reaching formation path grandmaster level. Fang Yuan had an extremely clear sensation of this. Towards the later stages, attainment levels became increasingly difficult to raise. This dream realm is still not over, according to its size, there are at least 2 stages left. This Tu Shicheng's son was truly amazing, his formation path attainment was definitely above grandmaster level. But recently, Qi Shang has been inspecting the various places of the Gu formation, I should restrain myself a bit and stop exploring the dream realm. After all, this super Gu formation was constructed mainly by Qi clan, Fang Yuan was still not able to thoroughly understand this super Gu formation, so it was better for him to be careful. Fang Yuan knew that once the secret of him being able to effectively explore dream realms was exposed, it would create an extremely huge impact. At that time, not only southern border, the other 4 regions would also be shaken and would mobilize their forces to find him. Wu Yihai is inviting me to a banquet tomorrow. Looking at Wu En, Qi Shang smiled. I appreciate Wu Yihai's good intention, but, forgive me, I am on official business and have to prioritize it, wait for me to finish inspecting the Gu formation, after that, I can visit to thank him for his hospitality. Qi Shang refused Fang Yuan's invitation with a slight smile on his face. Wu En felt helpless, as he left with a face filled with anger and embarrassment, he reported this to Fang Yuan. Qi Shang's action was slightly overboard and had slapped Wu clan's face. This made both Wu Liao and Wu En indignant. The other clan's Gu immortals, however, were secretly laughing at this, anticipating a good show. Regardless, Fang Yuan was calm the whole time. He indifferently looked at Wu En and Wu Liao, since that is the case, then we shall wait. He did not look the least bit angry. But Wu En and Wu Liao were inwardly anxious, feeling like their face had been torn by Qi Shang, but since Fang Yuan did not look anxious at all, they could only take their leave. Although Fang Yuan could not continue exploring the dream realm, he still had a lot of other things to do. For instance, constructing coiling thread caves to expand the scale of regretful spiders. This was to be the Sovereign Immortal Aperture's second large-scale resource expansion. Fang Yuan had been preparing for it these last days. It was all to construct an environment that was suitable for ordinary spiders to qualitatively transform into regretful spiders. According to Dongfang tribe's method, constructing coiling thread caves required setting up a Gu formation, and it also required a rank 6 immortal material, dark soft silk, and a rank 7 immortal material, regret water rock. Fang Yuan had already gathered dark soft silk and regret water rocks. He had paid a large amount of immortal essence stones as well as some other immortal materials for them. Next was setting up the Gu formation. This was clearly a Gu formation that concerned immortal materials. Normally speaking, this kind of Gu formation which relied upon immortal materials could only be deduced and created by a Grandmaster level formation path Gu Immortal. And a great Grandmaster formation path Gu Immortal could construct a Gu formation using the natural Tao marks in the world as the foundation. Prior to exploring the formation path Dream Realm, Fang Yuan felt like he was looking at an illegible book when he considered this Gu formation. But now, he understood it clearly. After all, he had quasi-Grandmaster attainment. Moreover, Fang Yuan still had some inspiration. Maybe I can improve this Gu formation and add in Perseverance Immortal Gu. According to the principle of this Gu formation, if I add in Perseverance Immortal Gu, the production of regretful spiders will at least multiply by 8. Fang Yuan's heart thumped with excitement at such a concept. If he could achieve this target, then the regretful spider business would surpass the dragonfish. The profits it could bring Fang Yuan could surpass even the Guts Gu business. This seemed to be exaggerated, but if looked at carefully, it was true. Guts Gu's production was restricted by the quality and the quantity of souls. Currently, Langya sect was killing desolate beasts in Taichio and using their souls as the resources to produce Guts Gu. They were also bringing in some souls from Treasure Yellow Heaven as well as the Northern Icy Plain as replenishment. The key point was there was Western Desert's Shao clan, which could take in all the regretful spiders even if its supply was much higher. There was no need to worry about the sales of regretful spiders. Furthermore, Fang Yuan had a collaborative relationship with Shao clan. Fang Yuan started deducing. But soon, he ran into a problem. He was unable to arrange a part of the Gu formation. This already surpassed his limits regardless of how many wisdom path methods he used. I am only a quasi-grandmaster. If I were a grandmaster, I would have the foundation to modify this Gu formation. Fang Yuan realized. But although I am not a formation path grandmaster, there is someone nearby who has this attainment level. This person was none other than Qi Shang. After Qi Shang refused Fang Yuan's invitation, he started patrolling all the places around the Super Gu formation. Every station Gu Immortal welcomed Qi Shang warmly. Qi Shang was intentionally delaying his inspection. Everyone knew that the longer he delayed, the more Wu clan's face would be lost. Naturally, it was Wu Yihai that Qi Shang held hostility towards, not Wu clan. A love rival. Wu Yihai, you think of yourself as so high and mighty, you look down on me. By inviting me, do you think I will scuttle towards you? Humph. I want you to come look for me personally. Qi Shang had such an intention in his mind. But soon, this plan of his was destroyed. Because Fang Yuan's letter of challenge was in his hands. In the letter, Fang Yuan wrote, I once toured scenic spots with Fairy Si Lu, and in that time, your name was mentioned. Fairy Si Lu praised you as a genius in formation path, but I, Wu Yihai, don't accept that. I have created a formation path problem. Let's see if you can answer it. If you can, then it is your win. If you can't, it is your loss. I will be informing Fairy Si Lu of this result when I return. Qi Shang completely lost it. Wu Yihai, as expected, you could not take it anymore. But you actually want to use formation path to trouble me? You, a transformation path Gu Immortal, want to use formation path to embarrass me? What gave you the guts? You are asking for your own humiliation. I will definitely tell Fairy Si Lu of your loss and prove my, Qi Shang's, strength. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1328, Fang Yuan's Shamelessness. Chapter 1328, Fang Yuan's Shamelessness. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Qi Shang felt he was humiliated. Yes, humiliated. At present, in the entire southern border Gu immortal world, who did not know of Wu Yihai's identity? Who was not aware he cultivated transformation path? But now, Fang Yuan did not use his primary cultivation to trouble Qi Shang, but instead picked Qi Shang's most proficient domain. This was like saying, I don't need to use transformation path to trouble you, because you simply can't compare to me. The disdain overflowed in this challenge. He could not take it. This could not be endured. Qi Shang's eyes were wide open as he pinched Fang Yuan's information path Gu worm and mumbled, let me see what problem you brought out. This is quite something. Soon, a trace of solemnness appeared on Qi Shang's face. As far as he was concerned, Fang Yuan's question was quite challenging. But soon, Qi Shang settled himself, no wonder he is confident of using formation path to harass me. This problem is slightly difficult. He made this problem. That should not be possible. His main cultivation is transformation path, it should be a Wu clan formation path Gu immortal behind him who created this problem. With his identity as Wu Yong's brother, how could Wu clan's Gu immortals not help him? Although Wu clan was not specialized in formation path, as long as it was a super force, they would have some involvement in formation path. Because super forces needed to guard their resource points, and had a large-scale demand for Gu formations. But even if a Wu clan Gu immortal helped you, so what? In terms of the clan strength, my Qi clan is indeed slightly inferior. But if just comparing formation path attainment, my Qi clan is undoubtedly in first place in southern border. Qi Shang felt intense pride towards his clan. He gathered all his senses and dived into Fang Yuan's problem. The more he pondered, the more he lost himself. With his analysis, he had divided the problem into dozens of segments. Normal methods cannot be used to solve the issue of water and fire opposing each other. The whole Gu formation demands a circular formation, a square formation can be discarded. How to solve this difficulty? This is slightly difficult. But this can't defeat me. Qi Shang's fighting spirit soared high like he had been injected with adrenaline, he inwardly told himself that he had to teach Fang Yuan a fierce lesson. Let him know that he, Qi Shang, could not be humiliated. Lord, the evening banquet that Luo clan's Gu immortals invited you to is going to start soon. We should be on our way. At this time, a rank 6 Gu immortal of Qi clan, Qi Lu, reminded Qi Shang from outside the door. Not going, not going. Qi Shang did not even raise his head, he refused while continuing to deduce the problems in his mind. But, we already agreed. Qi Lu hesitated. I said I am not going. Leave. Qi Shang impatiently replied. Qi Lu could only helplessly leave. Qi Shang took in a deep breath, looking at the formation path problem Fang Yuan sent him, his eyes brightened as he mumbled, what good is there in a banquet? The important thing is to defeat him. The faster I can solve this problem, the better it is. You dare to humiliate me. The night passed like this. Qi Shang had not slept the whole time, his eyes were bloodshot, his hair was in a mess and he was extremely tired. With a Gu immortal's physique, it did not matter if they stayed up all night. But Qi Shang was rather exhausted, he had not rested even a moment during this night, and had put in all his effort to deduce and plan, taxing both his mind and energy. This problem is indeed slightly difficult. But I have already solved it. Ha ha ha, you dare to mess with me. I will let you taste my awesomeness. Despite being exhausted, Qi Shang was extremely excited and laughed heartily. He could not wait to see how Fang Yuan would respond. I will go right now and enjoy your expression. Qi Shang walked to the entrance when he suddenly stopped. No. I am standing against Wu Yi right now, we are like generals, how could I take the initiative to visit him? My reputation will be lost. I need to send a subordinate. Soon after, Qi Clan rank 6 Gu immortal Qi Lu arrived in Qi Shang's study. Little Lu, send this to Wu Yi. I want to teach him a lesson. Qi Shang instructed. Qi Lu quickly agreed. His cultivation level was lower than Qi Shang, and he knew Qi Shang was the hope of Qi Clan in formation path. Qi Clan's first supreme elder, Qi Chuyu, had said a few times in the past that Qi Shang would inherit his legacy. The significance of these words was huge. Qi Chuyu was a formation path great grandmaster. Him acknowledging Qi Shang meant Qi Shang was very likely to become a formation path great grandmaster as well. Qi Shang also did not let down the clan. He had displayed his talents and aptitude in formation path since a young age, and with the clan's resources being poured into him, he cultivated hard all year round and did not slack. After receiving Qi Clan's nurturing, his current formation path attainment was not to be underestimated. Relaxing. Fang Yuan slowly woke up and stretched out his arms. Although his soul had the protection of Daoist Gu, it would become agitated when used too much. Daoist Gu was not able to resolve this, but sleep could restore the soul's calmness. After Fang Yuan had a night's sleep, his exhausted state was swept away, and his mind was vigorous again. Qi Shang's information path mortal Gu had already been delivered while he was asleep. When Fang Yuan glanced at it, a look of pleasant surprise flashed past his eyes. Oh! He indeed solved it. This speed is quite fast. Fang Yuan sighed as he then immersed himself into the information and started studying it. His eyes shined repeatedly as he gained great enlightenment from Qi Shang's solution. So it was like this. Fang Yuan rubbed his chin. This was a completely new thought process and it opened a new window to him. According to this thought process, this answer is still not suitable for my entire Gu formation, I need to make slight adjustments in some areas. Fang Yuan inwardly pondered. He did not give the whole Gu formation to Qi Shang, and only took out parts of it for Qi Shang to solve. Qi Shang's answers had no errors, but there would still be deviations when the entire Gu formation was arranged. However, Fang Yuan's formation path attainment level was already at quasi-grandmaster, and using the foundation of these answers, he fully could make some adjustments. Qi Shang was a grandmaster, and Fang Yuan a quasi-grandmaster. There was not a huge difference between the two. If the difference was too high, it would be impossible to modify the formation. It was just like how Fang Yuan currently saw this super Gu formation that covered the dream realm, it was still a mystery to him, he could not understand a thing. Fang Yuan made huge gains by receiving the answer to the issue that was troubling him. Indeed worthy of being Southern Borders Qi Clan. He mumbled, praising Qi Shang's formation path attainment. With this problem solved, Fang Yuan could continue his plan to modify the Gu formation. His mind was calm and serene, as he began deducing once again. A few days passed like this. Qi Shang was very anxious. After he sent the answer, he had been waiting for Fang Yuan's reply. But, even after some days, he had not received a response, he did not even feel he could taste his food and drinks properly. What is Wu Yi playing at? Qi Shang mumbled. Qi Shang, what did you say? In the banquet, a Luo clan Gu immortal asked in confusion. Qi Shang slowly came to his senses, only then realizing he was still in the banquet. He had refused a banquet invitation from Luo clan before, but after solving Fang Yuan's problem, he came to attend one. He had to attend it, otherwise, was it not the same as not giving face to Luo clan? Gu immortal Qi Gui, who was sitting at the side, quickly mediated, forgive us, Qi Shang has always been like this. His mind often wanders, sometimes he even forgets to eat when he is thinking of a formation path problem. He would stand still all of a sudden, and it can happen even while he is walking. Qi Gui had rank 7 cultivation, and was the leader of the Qi clansmen stationed here. The Luo clan Gu immortal laughed loudly, I have heard about Qi Shang's behavior. He is indeed a formation path genius. Sigh, if my Luo clan could produce 1 or 2 geniuses with just 20 or 30% of Qi Shang's talents, I would be content. Meanwhile, Fang Yuan's brows were tightly furrowed. He ran into another problem. It seems modifying this Gu formation is already beyond my limits. Fang Yuan had encountered a new problem, and this one was much more difficult than the previous one. He could still make an attempt for the previous one, but this time, he did not even think to attempt it as his ideas were too unreliable. Since that is the case, let's hand it to Qi Shang. Fang Yuan smiled. It's here, it's here. When Qi Shang returned to Qi Clan Station, he soon got Fang Yuan's information path Mortal Gu. His eyes brightened in excitement. Do you think it was easy for me? Even I was getting impatient from waiting. Qi Shang sneered while feeling proud. Right now, he was like a winner picking up his battle spoils. However, after his consciousness entered and he learned of the contents in the information path Mortal Gu, his eyes opened wide in anger. What is Wu Yihai saying? He is actually acting so shamelessly. Qi Shang immediately cursed. In the letter, Fang Yuan did not mention a single word about the previous challenge letter. Instead, he casually admitted Qi Shang had some ability. Naturally, it could also be Qi Shang getting lucky. If you can solve this problem, I will admit you have the qualifications to pursue Fairy Si Lu. This was what was written in the letter. At the mention of Qiao Si Lu, Qi Shang was even more unable to endure it. Are my qualifications up to you to decide? Wu Yihai, I misjudged you. You shameless guy. Qi Shang felt like Fang Yuan was standing in front of him, sneering in disdain and looking down on him. He suddenly had a strong impulse to rip apart Fang Yuan. Still mentioning going on a sightseeing tour with Si Lu. Even I have only traveled once with Si Lu. Damn this guy. Qi Shang paced around the study, gritting his teeth in resentment. He almost crushed the information path Mortal Gu in his hand. But he thought for a moment and withstood this impulse. If I crush this Gu, wouldn't it be satisfying Wu Yihai's wish? Humph, he was not able to create difficulties for me, he is definitely afraid of me now, so he is intentionally saying this. Right. Me giving up is probably what he wants to see. I can't let that happen, I will continue to win and make him completely admit his defeat. Make him fully realize my strength. Of course, to prevent him from acting shamelessly again, I must make this matter public, the more people that know of it, the better. Qi Shang learned from his mistake. The origin of this matter was a dispute about a girl. Qi Shang had also found it slightly embarrassing, but now, he was willing to throw caution to the wind against Fang Yuan. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1329, Fang Yuan admitting defeat. Chapter 1329, Fang Yuan admitting defeat. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Qi Clan's area, in the study room. Qi Lu had been summoned, and after hearing Qi Shang's intention, he said with an awkward expression, Lord, is that good? Our Qi Clan and Wu Clan's relation is still quite good. At least, even with Wu Clan's current situation, our Qi Clan has been maintaining neutrality. So what? Other clans can make a move, but our Qi Clan can't. Qi Shang was getting angry. Qi Lu thought to himself, Lord Qi Shang is truly like what the rumor said. What should I do now? While thinking, Qi Lu said, I understand Lord's mood, but over here, we have some business where we have been closely collaborating with Wu Clan. If we just suddenly fall out. Qi Shang immediately came to a realization. Oh. You are talking about the Dream Realm business? Qi Lu nodded, Lord is wise. Wu Clan wanted to do Dream Realm business for some income under the table, but how could their actions be unnoticed by Qi Clan? The immortal Gu used in this Super Gu formation belonged to Southern Borders super clans, but the Gu formation itself was personally set up by Qi clan's first supreme elder. Although Qi clan contributed few immortal Gu, as far as this super Gu formation was concerned, they had an enormous influence. Thus, Wu clan had to bring in Qi clan if they wanted to do this dream realm business. Qi clan's Gu immortals had much more understanding of the Gu formation. If they were not brought in, this business could not be done. Qi Shang sighed inwardly. No wonder First Supreme Elder had once said that it is hard to fathom the minds of people. Qi Lu is a fellow Qi clan Gu immortal, but for personal gains, he is actually not standing on my side. His expression was gloomy. It was hard to resolve the matter now. He wanted to publicly fall out with Fong Yuan, but he encountered an obstacle in the first step. What should he do now? For a moment, Qi Shang was quite helpless. Because he had taken a position here all of a sudden and had always taken cultivation as his main goal. He had very little contact with other Qi clan Gu immortals and was always focused on researching formation path. His influence in Qi clan was quite small and could even be said to be the smallest influence among rank 7 Gu immortals. It was also the first time he had come to this super Gu formation. Now, with his lack of connections, as a grand rank 7 Gu immortal, he was actually unable to mobilize Qi Lu. Qi Lu's mood was quite bad, disobeying a rank 7 Gu immortal, especially when the latter was an important future hope of the clan. He naturally did not feel good. However, people in low positions naturally had their own survival methods. Qi Lu thought for a bit and said, "Lord, it is not that I don't want to do this matter on your behalf. It is just that your status is high. Once this matter is proclaimed, it will have a great impact. How about this? Please let me inform Lord Qi Gui about this matter. He is the leader here. We will listen to his decision. What do you think?" Qi Lu's tone was humble and polite, and was even subtly flattering Qi Shang. Qi Shang felt extremely comforted upon hearing this, and nodded. "All right, then let's see what Lord Qi Gui says." Qi Gui's brows furrowed when he heard Qi Lu's report. A fight over a woman. Nobody would feel good about involving themselves in a dispute merely over this. Qi Gui felt quite troubled. On one hand, his clansman was Qi Shang. He had to show respect because Qi clan's first supreme elder was behind Qi Shang. On the other hand, if they really escalated this matter, it would no longer be a personal matter, but a political one which could affect the diplomatic relations between Wu clan and Qi clan. This was a world where the strong were respected and where one individual's strength could surpass a group's. Thus, politics was also determined by individuals. Qi Shang and Wu Yihai had very high status. A conflict between them was a conflict between Wu clan and Qi clan. This was not exaggerated at all. Especially Wu clan, it is in a difficult situation, being harassed from all sides. If, at this time, my Qi clan joins in, it will damage the neutrality of Qi clan, and not to mention that we will gain poor reputation for kicking someone when they are down. It will also worsen our relation with Wu clan, harming my clan's interests. But I also have to appease Qi Shang. Qi Gui racked his brains for a while before he actually thought of an idea. He then secretly gave his idea to Qi Shang. "We cannot make this a big issue, otherwise, the impact will be very bad. Even if we win, we will be making a joke of ourselves. This is, after all, a personal matter. We should deal with this privately. You can tell Fairy Si Lu about the situation. Wu Yihai also has affection towards Xiao Si Lu. If you can ask her to be the witness, Wu Yihai would absolutely not dare to act shamelessly." Qi Shang slapped his thigh and shouted, "Great idea." Qi Gui smiled, slightly pleased with himself. From what Qi Gui saw, this method had even more allure to Qi Shang, who did not want to ruthlessly crush their love rival in front of the girl they loved, and gain her attention. Soon, Qi Shang informed Xiao Si Lu of the matter through an information path Gu worm. Regardless of what was going on with Fong Yuan, Qi Shang immediately felt enormous pressure. Now, Fairy Si Lu knows of this. This is a duel between gentlemen and it was he, Wu Yihai, who sent the challenge. She should not feel disgusted, right? I need to quickly complete Wu Yihai's challenge. This is my specialty. I absolutely cannot lose. The enormous pressure became a huge motivation for Xianxia. He started concentrating on the problem. Is this another part? It has a slight relation to the previous part of that Gu formation. It is likely the whole Gu formation was divided into two parts. Damn it, if I knew the whole Gu formation, it would have been much easier. Now, I can only deduce according to this part. He was getting a headache. Xianxia began to use his methods. He was a formation path Gu immortal who knew a mystical Gu formation taught to him personally by First Supreme Elder. This Gu formation used wisdom path Gu worms as the core, while the supplementary Gu worm was an immortal Gu. Normally speaking, be it an immortal killer move or an immortal Gu formation, both used immortal Gu as the core and mortal Gu as supplementary. However, this Gu formation actually did the opposite. The supplementary immortal Gu used was a water path immortal Gu named Sweat. The Gu formation's name was Wisdom Sweat Formation. It slowly activated as Xianxia poured in his immortal essence. There were no gorgeous lights or sparkles, instead, an intriguing smell that seemed somewhere between fragrant and foul was formed. The smell grew more intense, shrouding Xianxia. Gradually, the smell condensed into a fog which covered Xianxia's face, making him unable to see anything. For 3 days and nights, Xianxia did not sleep or rest, continuing to deduce. Finally, the fog dissipated and the Gu formation stopped. Some mortal Gu were expended and dead, only about 10% of them remained, which Xianxia stored back into his immortal aperture. Among them was Sweat immortal Gu. Xianxia's whole body was soaked with sweat, as if he had been drenched in a rainstorm. His face also looked pale. But his eyes were shining brightly. All of a sudden, he raised his head and laughed loudly, ha ha ha. I finally solved it. I will see how you can get out of this, Wu Yi Hai. After a while, Fang Yuan received the letter. Oh, he got smarter, using Xiao Si Lu to create difficulties for me. Unfortunately, my goal is not her, this little threat is useless. Fang Yuan soon praised once again. Interesting, this solution is indeed a good method. But why could I not think of it? Although Fang Yuan obtained the answer, he did not focus on it, instead he started to evaluate himself. There were many areas in Xianxia's solution that Fang Yuan had not been able to grasp. Formation path was extremely vast, the inheritances Fang Yuan obtained were only of mortal level, it was natural for him to not be able to grasp them. As for Qi clan, they would not lack immortal level formation path inheritances. Moreover, with generations of development, and innovating new things based on the original foundation, they were Southern Border's #1 force in formation path. But even if I don't have immortal inheritances, if my attainment level can reach Grandmaster, I should also be able to solve this problem. Attainment level was one's understanding of the essence of the Great Tao. A simple analogy would be the solving of a mathematical problem. Fang Yuan wanted to modify the Gu formation and achieve his goal, it was like he wanted to reach a number, for example 5. Despite having the Gu worms, he did not know how to obtain 5. At this time, Xianxia's answer was 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Fang Yuan came to a realization that he could achieve his target like this. If his attainment level was enough, even if he did not know, he could rely on his instincts to understand the question from parts, to extrapolate information and obtain the answer of 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, or 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. Naturally, Gu formations were not as simple as this, especially when there were many Gu worms involved, it became harder to arrange them successfully. The contents of Gu formations were complicated and varied. There were simple Gu formations, compound Gu formations as well as formations within formations, depending on the form, there were square formations, circular formations and so on, depending on the activation style, there were instant activation formations and delayed activation formations. Then, they were divided further according to paths, fire formations, water formations and so on. Some Gu formations were like towers, with layers upon layers of designs. Some Gu formations were easy to modify and were like a set of clothes, modifying them were like sewing a patch. Some Gu formations could not be modified, they were like building blocks and changing one of them could cause the whole Gu formation to collapse. If one subdivided the Gu formations, the Gu worms involved would become even more complicated. For example, some Gu worms needed to be used together, while some had to be dispersed to influence their respective targets. By the night of the second day, the eagerly waiting Qi Shang received Fang Yuan's reply. This time, with Fairy Si Lu as the witness, I want to see how you will act shamelessly. Qi Shang impatiently sent his consciousness into the information path Mortal Gu. His face soon brightened up. Because Fang Yuan had admitted his capabilities in the letter and that he was indeed worthy of Fairy Si Lu's admiration. But, Fang Yuan had also written that Wu clan had people that could do this, and it was not anything strange. Qi Shang frowned when he saw this, but he was unable to retort since Wu clan indeed had people who could solve the problem. At this moment, he saw the last paragraph of the letter. Fang Yuan had put forward a problem again. Moreover, he promised that if Qi Shang could solve this, he would admit Qi Shang was superior to him, even in front of Fairy Si Lu, he would admit he was inferior. Qi Shang started to breathe in deeply. He imagined the situation, when he and Wu Yihai appeared in front of Qiao Si Lu at the same time, with Wu Yihai cupping his fists and saying, "I am inferior to you." A love rival admitting he was inferior. The more Qi Shang thought of this, the more moved he became. Wu Yihai has a high status, he is my biggest rival. I can win this and defeat him. More importantly, Fairy Si Lu is the witness, I don't have to be afraid of Wu Yihai reneging on his promise. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1330, So It Cannot Be Solved. Chapter 1330, So It Cannot Be Solved. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Wisdom Sweat Formation. Qi Shang set up this Gu formation again, doing his utmost to deduce the formation. But this time, he met with an unforeseen challenge. Difficult, it was really difficult, even the first 2 rounds added together and multiplied by 10 could not match this. Qi Shang felt like he was a baby trying to ascend a tall mountain. This difficulty, no wonder Wu Yihai is so confident. It is related to the contents of the first 2 Gu formations. No, I must use this chance to humiliate Wu Yihai. I will make him admit that he is inferior to me in front of Fairy Si Lu. After a day and a night, Qi Shang's eyes were filled with blood vessels, he was doing his best to try and tackle this problem. At the same time, Fang Yuan was thinking. This difficulty, it has likely surpassed the limits of Grandmaster attainment level. Not long ago, Fang Yuan received Qi Shang's help, he was able to modify the Gu formation of the coiling thread caves, he took a huge step forward, there was an immense breakthrough. However, right before succeeding, Fang Yuan was met with an unprecedented obstacle. If the first problem was a pit, the second was a mound, and this final obstacle was a mountain. Only by climbing to the top and removing the obstacle could he complete the modification of this Gu formation. This obstacle greatly surpassed Fang Yuan's expectations. My initial estimation was that if the Gu formation could be deduced, the regretful spider production would be doubled 3 times. That was not the same as 3 times as much. It would increase by 7 times, becoming 8 times the production of the initial size. This growth was terrifying. When the Gu formation was created, he would have 7 extra coiling thread caves out of nowhere. Fang Yuan's plan was wonderful, but the realization of it was met with great difficulty. The first 2 steps, he managed to complete, but now, he had no clue. He was just a step from success, how could Fang Yuan give up now? Thus, he placed his attention on Qi Shang. Many days later, the wisdom sweat formation stopped. Qi Shang's expression was pale. His gaze was drifting, there was no light in his eyes. Damn it! His hair was messy, like growing weed, his expression was of frustration, he gritted his teeth. Even though he gave it his all, he did not succeed. This way, he could not beat Fang Yuan, and worse, Xiao Si Lu knew of this third challenge. Qi Shang had already bragged that he would resolve this problem. If he failed, forget about Wu Yihai, but how would he face Xiao Si Lu from now on? Qi Shang felt an unforeseen pressure weighing on him. He quickly ate and rested before going back to his deductions again. Qi Clan. It was to the west of southern border, or rather, it was towards the west of all the super forces currently in southern border. Yang Clan was the neighbor of Qi Clan. This clan was a neighbor of Wu Clan, and was finding trouble with Wu Clan recently. Conflict arose due to a wild immortal Gu. Qi Clan, Yang Clan, Wu Clan. Following the basic rule of making friends with those far away and making enemies with those close by, Qi Clan and Wu Clan had always had a good relationship. The newest information was sent to Qi Clan's first Supreme Elder, Qi Chuyu. Qi Chuyu took a look and frowned. This intel was talking about none other than the challenge from Fang Yuan to Qi Shang in the Super Gu formation. Inside the Super Gu formation, Qi Clan's leader, Qi Gui, was afraid that conflict between Fang Yuan and Qi Shang would escalate. He had wisely reported this incident to Qi Chuyu. This way, even if the situation worsens, Qi Gui's responsibility would be lowered. After all, he had informed them. Qi Chuyu would divert a portion of his attention to this conflict while he was dealing with complex political matters. After all, both sides had extraordinary statuses. If this was handled improperly, it would escalate further. Qi Shang is troubled. This Gu formation problem is beyond the abilities of a grandmaster. The information had recorded Fang Yuan's third formation path issue. Qi Chuyu was a great grandmaster. He only needed a look to spot the difficulty of this problem. Together with the first two problems, Wu Yihai is trying to create a Gu formation to farm resources. But this person who made the Gu formation is too greedy. They have insufficient attainment level and cannot notice it. If I do not say anything to him, with Qi Shang's obsessive nature, he would continue to research it. If he gets injured from this, he might even die. Is this Wu Clan's scheme? They can see Qi Shang's potential, so they are trying to eliminate our future hope. With Wu Clan's current situation, it is unlikely. But I cannot be careless. Qi Chuyu thought of this. A sharp light shined in his eyes. He muttered, "It seems I have to do something." A moment later, Qi Gui visited Qi Shang, bringing with him an information path immortal Gu from Qi Chuyu. "This is first Supreme Elder's instruction. I have to pass this immortal Gu to you," Qi Gui said. Qi Shang blankly received the immortal Gu. After looking into it, he saw the details and his expression changed. He cried out in surprise, "This is the immortal inheritance left by secluded cultivator Tu Yuan. His earth water wind fire 4 elements formation is unique to him alone. But it had little reputation, because he kept a low profile. Few people knew of it. First Supreme Elder actually gave this immortal inheritance to me. I asked for it so many times but I did not succeed in the past." Qi Shang was so excited, he looked into the immortal true inheritance without caring about the outside world. When he snapped back to awareness, a long time had passed. It was night time already. Time passed really quickly. When did Supreme Elder Qi Gui leave? Forget it. Qi Shang's eyes shined brightly, unable to be looked at directly. Qi Clan First Supreme Elder's true inheritance came at a timely moment. It was what Qi Shang needed most right now. Qi Shang was filled with admiration and gratitude towards Qi Chuyu. So First Supreme Elder has been taking notice of me all along. He saw that I was in trouble, so he helped me. Is this cheating? Probably not. First Supreme Elder did not help me directly, he only gave me a true inheritance. The inspiration to solve the problem was thought of by me. That's it. I have wasted enough time. I need to quickly resolve this problem and show Wu Yihai what I'm capable of. Qi Shang was excited and driven. He used the wisdom sweat formation again. 2 days passed. The Gu formation stopped working as Qi Shang walked out angrily. So this Gu formation problem cannot be solved. Wu Yihai, you dare to scam me. Too devious, too scheming. Thankfully, with First Supreme Elder's guidance, I exposed this truth. Thinking of this, Xianxia gritted his teeth. He had suffered a lot these last days, he barely slept at all, he was invested in the problem. But then, he realized this was unsolvable. Xianxia felt that Wu Yihai had toyed with him, he was very angry. But soon, he laughed. That's right, this problem cannot be solved, as long as I expose this fact, I win. In fact, I can tell Fairy Si Lu about this, and embarrass this devious Wu Yihai. Xianxia immediately acted upon it, sending out 2 information path Mortal Gu. Fang Yuan received 2 information path Mortal Gu immediately. The first one was from Xiao Si Lu. It was not unexpected that Xiao Si Lu sent a letter. After looking at it, he was a bit puzzled. But then, he thought of something and looked at Xianxia's letter. Fang Yuan realized at once. This Xianxia has improved, he actually went to complain about me, telling Xiao Si Lu about the result of this challenge, before sending me this letter. This way, he can prevent me from retaliating. He really has improved. Fang Yuan's smile faded. The result was unexpected. His Gu formation had no solution. This was a common situation. Before a deduction succeeds, any new Gu recipe, killer move, Gu formation, they could be unsolvable, they could be impossible to complete. They were merely illusions, there was no possible way of success. Some problems were easy to tell, but others were not so obvious. Especially formation path, it used too many Gu worms and paths, it was too complex. Some ideas could not be exposed as unsolvable until the very end. Multiplying my production 8 times, this idea is hoping for too much, it is not possible. Since it is unsolvable, I can only abandon it and find a new modification. But forget about it now. Since I lost the challenge, I should invite Xianxia over. This person is quite interesting. Xianxia did not even think about it, he agreed to go over for the banquet. His attitude was different from before. Initially, he thought that Fang Yuan was too arrogant, he refused to go. But now, he was the winner, he felt that this was an apology banquet, he had to go with the attitude of a winner, to savor the feelings of the loser. Thus, when he saw Fang Yuan, his first words were, "Wu Yihai, will you relent now?" Fang Yuan rubbed his nose, smiling, of course, you are a genius, why would I not relent?" Xianxia was shocked, he did not expect Fang Yuan to act like this, he admitted his defeat. He did not know what to do now. Before this, he had thought of many possible outcomes, and how to deal with Fang Yuan's excuses. But now, Fang Yuan admitted his defeat, he relented. Xianxia felt like he had nothing to say now. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.